And if I have an impulse that my life is boring and routine and mundane, even if I may be successful by the measures that other people use, then I can either go into my heart and figure out some laudable goal that I want to aspire to, whether it's writing a book, toot my own horn there, or whether it's volunteering in the community, whether it's getting involved politically, whether it's saving the rainforest, whatever it is. Or another way is to just totally tune out of reality outside of my normal life and just pursue those rewards through fantasy. You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't think fantasy is totally wrong. I have a vivid imagination. And I want to go back for a second to one thing that ADHDers, especially, we all have great, most of us have great imaginations. In fact, we prefer to be in our imaginations and our own thoughts than especially to be sitting in front of somebody listening. And by the way, one of the things I try to do as a speaker is I try to engage the audience, because the worst thing for me when I was a kid was sitting and having to listen to other people talk. It was torture, by the way. Let's talk about discovery. Does any Zelda folks out there? So Zelda is about it's about discovering different things. You go through this map, and here you discover this. Oh, hey, guess what? Last Tuesday, I went in front of this rock, and I hit up B left, and the other left, and a fairy came out with a flute, and she healed my character. I'm basically doing my impression of one of my clients who came to me with that very thing when I suggested he might want to stop playing Zelda, and the inertia he felt, the hesitation was because he didn't see any opportunities for discovery in his life. Everything, he was a computer programmer, and everything was rote and predictable. But Zelda gave him an opportunity to discover, and that's what this man wanted. This man wanted to discover new things. This man wanted to be an inventor, but he didn't know how to pursue that. And I think that's part of the problem with all addicted gamers is that you will find among people who are addicted gamers usually above average intelligence, sometimes way above average intelligence. And there are people about whom it said, well, she is so smart, I can't believe she's just wasting her time playing that darn game. So that's one of the things you'll find. You'll find people who are restless, people who want more out of life, but they don't know how to get it. There's a passivity. I call it the victim mindset. There's a great victim mindset with us gamers. And that's when I work with people in my group settings, it's that I call them empowerment groups. It's one of the things I call them, because we have to empower people out of that victim mindset. Get them, there are other things you can do. There are other avenues for you to pursue other than the game. Okay? Let's go on to the next one. So again, I could go through a whole list of things. And before I end there, let me just say, for some people, it's beating the game. For some people, I've had students, that's the only thing that they've ever succeeded at. Mario Kart was the only thing that Andrew, who's now he's a junior at Albion College, video games were the only thing he was ever good at. And his brother, who's a lot older than him, never let him win and always lorded it over him. I'm beating you. I'm better than you. So that kid, Andrew, that was his whole life. He used to organize tournaments, and I play Mario Kart. I don't get addicted to Wii or anything like that. So I can play those games. They're not addicting to me. I beat him one time. Oh my God. He flew off into a rage that I had cheated, and that how could I want to play him. I knew that this was a bad day. This was a horrible day. He should have never played me. And because his self-esteem was tied to his prowess as a video gamer. So there are a lot more than that, but in the interest of having a little time for your questions later, I'm going to move on. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so let's play with this. On my website, which is www.videogamer, videogamingaddicts.com. And do we have a marker? videogamingaddicts.org. You can take this, and I've got different. I don't want to spend time, but each of these is weighted differently, and you can take a quiz and sort of, see where your video gamer stands. I spent a long time. Each one has a series of points, and I spent a lot of time. But let's just go through these. Somebody who's an excessive gamer will often have difficulty, if not find it impossible, to determine the amount of time that he or she spent gaming. Okay? Oh, I was on for 4 hours. It felt like 20 minutes. Okay? Lying. I wasn't playing. I was doing my homework. They don't sleep. When I was playing a game based on the Napoleonic War, again, you can see my similar theme, I would wake up at 4 in the morning. Oh, I should have charged my cavalry on the right flank. That's what I did wrong. And I would get up and I would play at 4 in the morning. As if the fate of free Europe was really resting in my hands. That's how much I got into it. Craving games. Yeah, okay, boy, I can't wait for this to get done. I'm going to go home and play my game. Very, very common. Withdrawing from family and friends. Losing interest in other hobbies and activities. We talked about that. Gaming for more than 2 days, 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. Now, I know kids that do that and they don't have a problem. But once you start seeing 2 hours a day, more than 4 days a week, you got a problem. And some people say, well, that's already 8 hours. You mean if my kid's playing 7, that's not a problem? Well, if you could peer into the average American home, you'd see that that's pretty typical for a week. Yes, ma'am.
I've got an 11 point for you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, there's more on the second page, but what is yours?
I was going to say seeing your child wanting more immediacy of things.
Okay, so
like I'm in this video game.
Right.
Mom, would you get me the butter? Now,
right.
Mom, now.
Wait a minute, she didn't get it. Reset, now get it.
Yeah.
Right. And I call that emotional. I would call that an emotional disturbance. That you see the attention, impulsivity. And if you have an ADHD, look, folks. And I don't get into this what time do I have till noon?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Look, folks, I don't get into the whole neurobiology of it all, but there is a neurobiological side, and dopamine and all that kind of stuff plays into it. And so, no. So, but that's something that we can get into later if we have time. But you're absolutely right. Okay, poor performance in school at work. You got people playing solitaire at work. You got people playing all sorts of things at work. You got people staying late at work and using the network at the office to call their friends over so they can play some online game, and so the whole World of Warcraft guild can not only be together online, but they're together in the same building. Gives them a great advantage. These people, okay, obviously physical ailments. I already talked about my stuff: eye strain, backache, carpal tunnel syndrome, and inability to see the negative consequences of gaming. You're not sleeping. Well, I only need 4 hours of sleep, Mom. It's amazing when I play these games. I'm superhuman. So they don't see it, or they ignore it, or they deny it. Okay, you'll find people that will go online. They'll use their credit card and they'll buy online. They'll buy items for their character. They'll buy the double-handed battle axe that requires too much gold that they don't have. So they'll buy the gold online and then they can add it to their account. Really crazy stuff. Eating meals, glorifying gaming, emotional disturbance. Now, you're seeing emotional disturbances even with the games, but when you take them away, sometimes you'll see agitation. You can see extreme anger. You can also see extreme depression and listlessness. I have a mother who won't take her son's games away anymore until he goes into a treatment center because he just won't get out. He can't get out of bed, So he's got to go into a treatment center. That's the real extreme side. Mood swings, which I think your son is exhibiting as well. Withdrawal. So you have a headache, you're malaise, you're lightheaded after you play the game. One of my big ones, you continue gaming even though you've got definable, tangible, negative consequences. You still do it. Your grades go down? I had a kid who was an all-A student, started playing World of Warcraft, if we go back to that one. And from almost the moment he started playing it, and we knew because we had the credit card, receipt from when he bought the membership. Grades started plummeting, assignments we presented him with the data. He would, oh no, I just don't care about school anymore. It's boring. He couldn't make that leap. Inability to cut down on gaming. You need to quit, but you can't. And 2 hours used to be enough. Now it's 3 hours. Now it's 4 hours. Now it's 5 hours. In addiction circles, they call that tolerance. Where you continue to need more to get the same effect. And so if you're taking drugs, sometimes you start to need more of the drug. Or if you're a compulsive shopper, you need to shop more often to get that high. Well, the same is true for gaming.